Episode 1. The Revelation. Alara woke with a gasp, her lungs burning as if she'd just emerged from a deep, watery grave. She looked around at her opulent bedroom, the morning sun streaming through the silk curtains, and a cold dread washed over her. It was the same day she'd died, the day her heart, weakened by a rare illness, finally gave out. Except, it wasn't. Her phone lay on the nightstand, and the date glowed back at her, July 15, 2025. Her death date was September 15, 2025. She had 2 months. The truth had come to her in a flash of clarity just before the end. They were having an affair. The secret glances, the whispered conversations, the long hours Julian spent at the office, it all made sense. Julian entered the room with a practiced smile and a breakfast tray. "Morning, my love. You look a little pale. Did you have a bad dream?" he asked, his voice a soothing lie. Alara's stomach twisted. She saw him not as the devoted husband she once adored but as a treacherous stranger. Maya called a few minutes later, her voice saccharine as she asked how Alara was feeling. Alara played along, her mind already racing. She would use these 2 months not to die again, but to live, and to expose their dirty secrets. This time, she would rewrite her ending. Episode 2. The Search for the Truth. Alara began her quiet investigation. She started with Julian's phone, which he foolishly left unlocked while in the shower. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled through his messages. There were no explicit texts, but a pattern of deleted conversations with an unsaved number and a series of seemingly innocent photos of them at various cafes and business meetings told a different story. Then, she noticed an odd detail. Julian's business trips often coincided with Maya's family emergencies. Alara cross-referenced their calendars and discovered a trail of shared hotel reservations under different names. She knew she needed more than just circumstantial evidence. Her memory of a crucial conversation played in her mind, Maya complaining about the pressure, and Julian assuring her that the investment would pay off soon. Alara recalled Julian's recent, sudden wealth and the expensive gifts he'd lavished on her and Maya. Where was this money coming from? With the help of a tech-savvy friend from her old life, a man she'd always trusted, she delved deeper. The trail led to a shell company and a series of fraudulent transactions. It wasn't just an affair. They were involved in something far more sinister. Episode 3. A Web of Lies. The investigation revealed that Julian and Maya were running a sophisticated Ponzi scheme, preying on wealthy, unsuspecting investors, many of whom were Alara's own friends and family. They would entice people with promises of high returns from a fake tech startup. Alara was horrified. Her husband and best friend had not only betrayed her emotionally but were also stealing from the people she cared about most. Armed with this new information, Alara felt a wave of cold fury. She confronted Maya first, inviting her over for a quiet, girl talk. Alara sat across from her, a calm mask on her face. "I've been going through some old photos," she began, holding up her phone, "and I found this one of you and Julian at that hotel last month. I thought you were in the countryside with your sister?" Maya's carefully constructed composure cracked, her eyes darting nervously. When Alara revealed she knew about the fraudulent company, Maya's face went white. She lashed out, her usual sweetness gone, replaced by a viciousness Alara had never seen. "So what? You're going to tell everyone? You're sick, Alara. Who would believe you?" Maya spat, before storming out. Episode 4. The Final Trap. Alara then set her sights on Julian. She called a meeting with the investors, including her own brother, who had put in a significant amount of money. She framed it as a surprise party for Julian, a celebration of his success. Julian, ever the charmer, walked into the room filled with the very people he was scamming, a self-satisfied smirk on his face. The moment he began his usual speech about the company's stellar growth, Alara stood up. "Actually, Julian, before you continue, I have a presentation of my own." She connected her laptop to the projector. The screen filled with evidence, bank statements, forged documents, and a detailed list of the victims and their stolen funds. The room fell into stunned silence as the truth unfolded before them. The investors gasped, and her brother's face was a mask of shock and anger. Julian's eyes widened in panic, his suave facade crumbling. He lunged for the computer, but it was too late. Alara had already sent the information to the authorities. Episode 5. Justice Served. Within hours, the police arrived and arrested Julian and Maya, who was hiding in her car outside. The news of the massive scam spread like wildfire, and the scale of their deception was revealed to the world. The police found enough evidence in their homes and offices to connect them to the crimes, and they were charged with fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. The following weeks were a blur of legal proceedings and media frenzy. Alara gave her testimony, her voice steady and strong. She watched as Julian and Maya, stripped of their power and wealth, were sentenced to long prison terms. The judge's final words echoed in the courtroom. Justice has a way of catching up to those who think they can outrun it. Alara walked out of the courthouse a free woman, not just from a treacherous marriage, but from the life that had once been predetermined for her. She had used her second chance not for revenge, but for justice. The fear of her impending death was still there, but it no longer held her captive. She had reclaimed her life, exposed the truth, and ensured that the people she loved would not be victims. As the final days of her 2 months approached, Alara felt a sense of peace she had never known. She had faced her betrayers, stood up for what was right, and in the end, her heart, though still fragile, was finally, truly at rest.